Good evening. Kathy Van Est from the Golden Door. I'm so excited to be here with you all tonight to talk to our friend who's one of our developers for some of the products that we now use in our spa, which is our shampoo. British-born Nick James, born and raised in a botanical dynasty. His early years were spent following his grandfather and his uncles in search of rare plants. After graduating with a master's degree in botanical science from Oxford University, James spent a decade in Asia studying Ayurveda and moving to healing modalities. He moved to Sedona, Arizona, a perfect place, and co-founded Body Bliss, one of our key partners, producers of the finest therapeutic grade botanical extracts and essential oils in the marketplace. The term essential oil is a contraction of the original quintessential oil. This stems from the Aristotelian idea that matter is composed of 4 elements, namely fire, air, earth, and water. Since this philosophy and practice have been around for decades, what is the difference today in gathering oils in today's world versus the original times? And how do you source your oils? So there's really 2 questions here. What's happened since the times of, we're going to talk a little bit about Cleopatra later. What's happened that's different now versus then? And where are you finding these rare plants today?
Okay, so, you know, a lot of people in this industry, and I think in many industries, they're all about what's new. And so people will come up to me at a trade show and they'll say, Nick, what do you got that's new? And in actual fact, what I try and explain to them that is what we're trying to do is to rediscover the old. Because this whole topic of aromatherapy has got so off track with modern marketing, and I feel that the word aromatherapy is probably the most used and abused and misused word in the English language. So really we're trying to get back to what this really meant originally. And these were proper, powerful, medicinal things. And what we have now on the market is a lot of things that are synthetic, a lot of things that aren't synthetic but that are not fit for purpose and aren't of a medicinal grade. And what we're trying to do is to re-establish that and to re-educate people about what really works.
How can a consumer tell the difference between synthetic and real?
Then you have to train your nose. So you really should make friends with an aromatherapist. And, you know, but sometimes learning to read labels will help. But really just finding somebody that you trust that can show you what real quality is, you will never forget it. And you will learn it in an instant. And just to finish your original question is that although we're trying to be very traditional, there are techniques that we can use nowadays to extract these oils that are completely cutting edge.
So tell us some of those techniques.
Okay, so the main technique that we like to use is a technique called supercritical carbon dioxide extraction. And I always hate saying that to people because it's like such a huge mouthful. What it really means is that we use pressurized carbon dioxide gas to dissolve the medicinal properties out of plant material. And in this way we can make plant extracts that are way more potent than we've ever been able to do before. These techniques are really turning the whole world of herbal healing and herbology is being transformed by this technique. And it means that we can extract oils that are extremely delicate that we were never really able to extract anymore without damaging them, retaining I liken it to, you have a healing plant and it's like waving a wand over that plant and boom, you have all of the healing goodness of that plant in a bottle.
Oh my goodness.
And these things are extraordinary, and we've had some opportunity to use these while I've been here, and yeah, we love this technique.
So is there a specific country or spot that you go, how do you source these plants in today's world?
Yeah, sometimes people ask me, do you grow everything in
Yeah,
Sedona?
that would be impossible.
I say, have you ever been to
Yeah,
Sedona?
exactly. I mean, it's a bit red there.
You can
Beautiful,
grow-
but I don't know.
You can
Yeah.
probably grow juniper
Right.
and maybe a little rosemary.
Yeah.
Now, you really have to go where the plants are happy. So every plant needs a different environment, and you have to find that environment and go there. So by now we work with farms, usually small collectives of farmers who grow and harvest and distill together. And we work with them in countries all over the world. So we'll go to the east of England for our chamomile. We'll go to France for our thyme and our lavender. We might have to go to Madagascar for our vanilla or our geranium. But really, it's a global network of farmers and
Now,
distillers.
how long have you been doing this?
It's a little over 15 years.
Wow. What made you go from, obviously you loved plants and botany, which my daughter would love that. She's a scientist in botany today.
Uh-huh.
But what got you to the field of sort of scent
Okay.
and smell?
This is a very good question. I don't know. You could call it midlife crisis or spiritual renewal, or there are so many things you could say. Basically, what happened was that I visited Sedona, and some friends of mine had moved to Sedona. And I don't know if anyone's been to Sedona, but I fell in love instantly with this environment of this place. And through revisiting, I made friends with people there, and one of the ladies I made friends with was a healer and a body worker. And we had a common core interest in meditation and in metaphysics. Both of us had studied these things for most of our adult lives. So we became firm friends, and she came to me and she said, Nick, I want to make a company that will make product that will support the health and well-being of spa therapists. She said, if you think about a spa therapist, they touch product all day long. 6 days a week,
All day long.
8 hours a day.
That's right.
They breathe product. They're usually working in enclosed spaces. In here it's very luxurious, and maybe they're not working in such enclosed spaces, but usually they are. So the product that a spa therapist uses impacts their own health much more quickly and dramatically than it even impacts the person that they work on.
Yeah, it's more repetitive.
If you take care of the spa therapist and you give them something that supports their health and well-being, all of that goodness flows naturally to the person that they're working on.
Nice. That's
And so,
nice.
I spend my life talking to spa therapists, and of course, to a spa therapist, that's very obvious. But to me, it was an aha moment, and I was like, "Where do I sign up?" And the issue that she had was that she knew a lot about body work and about healing, but she didn't have the technical scientific background that was needed to do what it was that we wanted to do. And I wanted to be in Sedona, and I checked that box.
Yeah.
So I sold my business in the UK, I moved to Sedona, and that's how Body Bliss was born.
So if you were to look back on the 15 years, what has been the most powerful plant in your business, if there's such a thing? Is there one plant that's like the leader of everybody just has to have it? I mean, you're going to say lavender or rose or something, but is there something else? Is there one particular smell or scent that is more powerful than all the others?
Well, there are absolutely scents that are very powerful, but that they're not necessarily more therapeutic, and they're not necessarily more popular. I mean, there are herbs that are extremely popular because they're incredibly efficacious. So an example would be arnica. Nearly everybody's heard of arnica, because the reason everybody's heard of it is because it actually works. Yeah. And people's doctors will tell them to go buy arnica cream because it really, really works. Now, the traditional way of making arnica is to cut the flowers from the plants and to put those flowers into olive oil and to mash them up in the olive oil and let them steep for a couple of weeks. This is how it's been done for hundreds and hundreds of years. Then you drain off the oil, you throw away the flowers, and then you've got your macerated oil of arnica. But using this technique, the carbon dioxide extraction technique that I mentioned, you can make an arnica extract that is many, many, many times more potent than that old-fashioned technique. And so arnica is definitely a big herb for us. And yeah.
So what would be the number two, if there was a number two?
Goodness, you have
What is your
very difficult
I'm going to ask.
questions.
Actually, I'm going to ask the question differently. That's good. I'm glad. What is your personal favorite plant to work with? I'm actually going to ask it differently. What is your personal favorite plant?
That's like asking me who's my favorite child.
I know, right? You must have one that you think, and this is like What is your personal
I
favorite?
have a personal favorite, and it's a personal favorite because it perfectly balances my particular constitution and personality. And my personal favorite is a plant called vetiver. And some people have heard of it, some people haven't. Some people find the smell a little challenging. It's very smoky and earthy and very woodsy. Somebody likened it to walking into a church that's been locked up for 1,000 years. But this oil, one of the reasons I love it is because better than any other essential oil, it will calm a person's energy right down. And you know, I'm the kind of person, I'm constantly moving. I'm here, I'm there, I'm inventing something, I'm talking to someone, I'm on a plane, I'm off a plane, and you get kind of scattered. And this oil, whoom,
Instantly calms.
everything back to center
Wow, we
immediately.
need that oil.
So it's a really favorite oil of mine. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask you a different question then. Research has shown that the use of essential oils extracted from plants has resulted in relief from anxiety and depression and improved quality of life, and particularly people with chronic health conditions. How do you see us conveying these benefits to our guests?
Well, the thing is one of the things about this place is that you've made a commitment to using something that will actually work for people. You said that I would mention lavender as one of my favorites. Okay, so everybody knows lavender, everybody's smelled lavender, right? I've been traveling around this country, looking in spas in this country, and I estimate that at least 50% of the lavender that's being used in spas is not the right kind of lavender to have the effects that people are promising. So people use inexpensive hybrid lavender oils because those lavender plants yield about 4 to 9 times more oil than the plants that we call the true lavender plants. They grow more quickly, they're more resistant to illness and disease, and they crop a lot of oil. So of course people who grow lavender and make lavender oil, they love it because then you can sell it cheap and everybody loves something cheap, right? The problem is that those lavender plants, when the sun's shining down on their little field in the south of France or Spain, they take that energy and they start making a group of aromatic compounds called camphors. Now, camphors are not calming and they're not soothing and they're not going to help anybody's anxiety. There's nothing wrong with them. They're very good for your respiratory system. They may help you ward off a cold. But if you tell somebody, come into my spa, get on this table, I'm going to give you a lovely, relaxing massage and you're going to sleep much better afterwards, that isn't the right kind of lavender to use. So if you use true lavender, grown at high altitude in Provence, those lavender plants, when the sun shines on them, they get busy and they start making a group of aromatic compounds called esters. And esters are very sweet, but it's not just an aesthetic difference, it's those compounds that actually soothe the central nervous system. So a friend of mine who's a consultant in this industry, a couple of years ago, she said, Nick, I know what it is that you guys are doing. You are curating the power of the world of aromatherapy. And really that's exactly right, because there's only one person between all of you and your therapists and you and the actual field and the farm where this come from, and that's me. And all I'm really doing is making sure that when your therapist lays hands on somebody, that they have the right thing on their hands to get the results that you want.
Wow, that sounds powerful.
It's so upsetting to see how much cynicism there is about aromatherapy, but it's also completely understandable. Because if you're going to a spa and somebody's telling you that this aromatherapy is going to make you feel calm, and it doesn't make you feel calm, you might think, oh, it smells okay, this aromatherapy, but it doesn't really work. But if you go to a naturopath in Italy or in France, and you present with anxiety, they may well prescribe an essential oil for your anxiety, but it's going to be that very fine quality, rich in those esters, because that's what's going to have an effect. And it's coming here. We're getting it. Even my doctor's office now sells capsules with lavender oil for anxiety, and of course it's a very good grade. But we need to bring that more into spa. And so we need to constantly educate people and let people smell. I mean, the people who've been in my classes here, they've smelled things and they would be able to tell the difference,
Right.
even though they're not experts.
Right.
So
We're going to talk about that bar in just a minute. I'm going to ask one more interesting question. Insects have been pollinating flowers for over 200 million years. Insects, like humans, are attracted to specific plants, your plants. Very important. One of the three possible reasons, of course, is aroma and color and structure. 40% of the bee population, maybe projected 60% of the bee population has disappeared in the last year. How does that affect your business?
No, it hasn't affected our business yet, but it's an impending tragedy.
It is an impending tragedy.
And we try wherever possible to source oils that are grown organically. If you could see the rose fields in Bulgaria, where we get our rose oil from, they are a mess. They can clear the fields between the rows of rose bushes, and within 2 weeks the weeds are up here and there's poppies here and borage growing over there, and they're a mess. But that's what's actually needed to preserve the diversity and to give the foraging insects the food that they need. If you go to a country now like England, there are very few wildflowers growing around the fields of the farms because they are growing monocultures, they're using pesticides and herbicides, but you go to Bulgaria and it's like being in England in the 1950s. And it's just inspiring and it's gorgeous, but of course it's not efficient.
No.
So we have to work this out because this is an important issue.
Very important. Now, we've been working with Nick to launch our aromatherapy bar. Why don't you share with the guests how that's going to sort of work for them?
Okay.
Because we're excited about it. We spent a long time working with this to develop it, a lot of time on the product, and we've had some classes today. Share with them what that means and what would happen.
Okay. So imagine nowadays we want an experience that is really tailored to us, that really speaks to what our needs are and our desires are in the moment. And aromatherapy can offer this. But the world of aromatherapy is complex, and it can scare a therapist. You know, when they're there with a guest and maybe they've got a whole bunch of essential oils in front of them, and the guest is telling them how they feel, and now they have to mix them together. Well, they're like, I can't remember if this is good with this and this is good with that, because there are hundreds of essential oils. In my lab, I routinely have 150 different essential oils. So what we've tried to do in the past is we've tried to create a customized experience for the guest, and we've done that with little recipe cards. Now, you can't really give someone more than about 6 recipe cards to read before it becomes a big drag.
Yeah, I agree. That'd be tough.
So it was painful to me. It was like, I want to bring all of this goodness and all of this healing into the spa, and I want to put it in the hands of the guest. How do you do that? So I sat down and I wrote a piece of software that you can give this software to anybody, and simply, intuitively, and with a lot of fun, they can go into the software and they can create their own aromatherapy experiences. And that's what you've brought here. And what's nice is that the guests can approach this from so many different angles. Like maybe they have a sore knee because they've been playing a lot of tennis, or maybe they haven't been sleeping so well because they're under a lot of stress. They can go into the software and create a solution for themselves. But they can do way more than that. Perhaps they've got a loved one at home who is going through a difficult time, or somebody that they want to congratulate for getting a new job. They can also go into a section of the software and create customized experiences for people that they love and care about. And then we take it to another level, and you can go in there and you can do all kinds of cool things. You can put in your birth date and have the software create blends for you that are vibrationally attuned to your personal numerology, for example.
This is going to be fun. Very detailed.
So it's very exciting, and with this very simple system, you can create about 10,000 unique experiences for your guests. So we've gone from 6 to 10,000.
Well, speaking of unique blends, Valentine's Day is just around the corner. And in ancient Egypt and Rome, using essential oils was part of the ritual for the preparation of love. Cleopatra herself, one of the most renowned lovers of all time, is reputed to have scented the sails of her royal barge with rose water to seduce Mark Anthony as she sailed to meet him. So, what would you consider the top 3 essential oils for love in today's world?
The top
Does
three.
Does the
essential
computer
oils.
tell you that?
It actually
Is that a
does.
question for the computer?
It actually can help you with that. Yes, I mean the first thing that I have to preface the answer with is that scent is an extremely personal experience. You know, the part of your brain that processes scent is one of the deepest, most ancient parts of the brain, pre-language. And it's a part of the brain that also processes some of the deepest held emotional feelings that we have. So you will never find a scent that really works for everybody. It's very rare. But there are some scents that definitely have those qualities, and rose is a very good one. Ylang ylang is another very good one. And if you think about the scents that are most frequently thought of as aphrodisiacs, those are the scents you were talking about, the ones that are attracting the bees from miles around, right?
That's true.
The plant has no other language than scent. So if you think about a tree growing in the jungle, a beautiful magnolia, it opens its flowers and it sends out its message onto the breeze, and its message is scent. And hummingbirds will come, and bees and beetles and butterflies will come from miles around. And what do? We steal it from the flower, and we use it for exactly the same thing, to attract pollinators.
Oh my gosh.
So
That's a good way to put it. Did not think of that. Do you think the consumers understand the power of the essential oil world? Do you think it's something that's just coming to America, that it's been more powerful in other countries?
well, there's more of a tradition in other countries, perhaps, than there has been here. But that's true of many things. You know, we've established a beautiful spa tradition here. We've established a beautiful wine tradition here. And we're in the process of establishing a beautiful aromatherapy tradition here. And I don't think that people understand, no. And I, even amongst trained massage professionals, I'll tell them, you know, if you go into, well, I don't want to malign anyone, but some of the common high street bath and body type stores, and you buy yourself some kiwi and strawberry shampoo and some lime and coconut body lotion, they're completely horrified to find out that there's
nothing in there
there's
real
no
at all.
strawberry in there,
No,
and there's,
yeah, no.
and this is my constant struggle: is how do we distinguish what we do when there's no rule about what you can call your product based on what's in it?
Do you think there's a barrier in the sense of us understanding it? Because it's just, we're marketing all these sort of fake brands and fake stories.
I think there's that, and the fact that it's a very complex world, and people like simplicity. We don't have time to sit down and study something like aromatherapy.
No.
So you need to make friends with a good aromatherapist and make sure that they're giving you the right thing.
I want to sidetrack for a second. We have a package on the table that everybody should open that I would love for Nick to tell you what's in this package before I ask him for our golden nugget. Can you share with our guests what's in here? And then after we get done, perhaps you can actually go through what these are like together.
So, you know, one aspect that we haven't really touched on, I'm extremely interested in the very practical physiological effects that things have on the body. All right? That's the scientist in me. So the third bottle in the little packet that you have is lemon oil. This is organically grown lemon oil from the zests of lemons. And if you take a drop of that oil and you put a drop of that oil in your water and you drink that down, do you know what will happen? That lemon oil will find its way very rapidly to your liver. In the liver, it will boost the production of phase 2 liver enzymes and suppress the production of phase 1 liver enzymes, helping your liver actually get rid of toxins and flush toxins out of the body.
Wow.
It'll also help suppress the growth of tumors in the body, and it'll get into the hypothalamus in the brain, and it'll help you think more efficiently. All of these things are very practical, scientific, chemical effects that these things have.
Just from a drop.
Well, just from a drop,
A
couple of drops,
Of
yeah.
course. Wow.
Now, that's one side of my passion. The other side of my passion is, what's the more vibrational quality of these oils? So if you were to take the fourth bottle and just, you can open that bottle if you like and smell that. what we have in this bottle is oil of roses. It takes 3,500 pounds of rose flowers to make a pound of this oil.
Oh my goodness.
This is extremely precious. But when you smell this oil, you instantly know that this oil touches your heart. This is an oil of love.
Does everybody feel that?
And you don't need to be taught that, really. You can just feel that. So there are messages in these bottles, as well as an enormous amount of healing. So the reason I chose these 5 oils for you all is because there's a message in these 5 bottles. And the message reads from left to right. Clary Sage represents letting go and trusting life's process, going with the flow. So the message is let go. The next oil is basil. That carries the message of move boldly, be brave, be courageous. The third bottle is lemon, which stands for clarity. The fourth rose stands for love. And the last bottle, lavender, stands for healing. So the message in the oils that I've given you is let go, trust life, move boldly with clarity and love, and be a channel for healing wherever you go.
But my last question is always my favorite question. If you could have a golden nugget to give our guest tonight, what would the golden nugget be?
Well, I thought a little bit about this, and I thought, really, nowadays we're becoming so sensitive and careful about what we put in our bodies, the food that we eat, the way we treat our bodies. So perhaps it's time to start being really careful about what we smell, because these things impact us, and start to seek out quality natural aromatics and just start to train yourself to appreciate them and to surround yourself with them. Because to me, aromatherapy is part of a healthy and abundant lifestyle, and it should be part of everybody's life from morning till night.
I love that.
And I have another thing that I'd like to say, which is this is a research that has just come out this week. This particularly pertains to places where it's cold at this time of year and people close up their houses and they insulate their houses so that their houses are warm and there's not a lot of airflow, and then they start to light beautiful scented candles in their house, and they use cleaning products, and of course the cleaning products have synthetic scents in them, and these synthetic scents accumulate inside the house, and then they start reacting together in the atmosphere of your house to create a chemical called formaldehyde. Now, we're mostly familiar with formaldehyde, and it's a very unpleasant chemical. And the levels of formaldehyde in people's houses nowadays are way off the charts, especially if the houses are, not perhaps in Southern California, right? But so the great thing is that if you put some living plants in your home, those plants will reabsorb the formaldehyde out of the air. So have plants around, be around plants. They're just so good for us in so many ways. I don't have time to explain. I could talk to you for a week. I'm sure you know that.
I would love to hear it.
And the plants that are particularly effective for this, lavender, geranium, and many of the ferns. So fill your house with living plants.